Well, hi everyone. I'm back with the next episode of Tattoos and Toddlers. And when I have some special things to talk about this episode, believe me when I tell you I have some special things to talk about. Because this is going to be not your normal typical episode. This is going to really be, we're going to take a deep dive into not only somebody you've seen on the wedding circuit and then the industry circuits, but we're also going to talk about what's going on event-wise. There's some kind of a summit coming up, I believe. Ha ha ha. Like I don't know. And then we're also going to talk about a tattoo related story towards the end. So let's get into it. Welcome, Heidi. Introduce
Hello.
yourself.
Yeah. So my name is Heidi Thompson. For the past 12 years, I've been helping wedding professionals attract and book more of the clients that they want and build businesses that give them freedom and flexibility. So if they have kids and they want to spend time with their kids, or if they want to travel more, or whatever it is, that your business gives you the life that you want to have and doesn't suck all of the life out of you.
Which is important, as I know as a parent of one kid, I have to learn how to compartmentalize everything so I know that everything has been hit. The business has been looked at, the kid has been spent time with, the husband's been spent time with, my partner. Just having all these compartmentalizations of time that we have as business owners. So anything that we can do to shorten our pathways to our clients is great. Like I love
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But I believe I met you through so many different wedding industry pros that had either been a part of your summit coming up or they either attended or were a speaker. And so it's been fascinating to just kind of sit back and watch how many people have so much wisdom to offer. And coming from you, Heidi, yourself, what is a piece of wisdom that you have learned over these last 12 years, you said, of running your own business?
Mm.
I know, right?
There's so
I
many. Oh my
know.
God, there's so many. I
It's like
think,
picking a favorite movie.
yeah, it really is. I feel like for myself, the thing that I've learned that's probably been the most helpful and that I see a lot of people struggle with is the ability to prioritize based on impact and importance.
Mm,
So that, and it's a muscle you have to build. Like it's still easy to get distracted by things, sure, but as I've gotten better at it, I've been able to be like, nope, that is not important right now. This is the important thing. This is what we're doing. This is what we
yes.
committed to. So that, I mean, that's the only way I get anything done.
No, I love that because I was just thinking about that today. Like I was working this morning before our call. I was like, and I just wrote it on my Facebook status because all the best statuses end up somewhere on social media. When it comes in your head, you feel like you have to type it to the world. I'm kind of one of those organic people. I was like, sometimes I'll just have to type it. So what I typed was basically that. It was like remembering the focus on the actual things that matter to my purpose and destiny versus the 30 things I've told myself I need to do.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you only need to do the five.
Yeah. And we think we need to do 30 things. And more often than not, the more you do, weirdly, the worse results you get because you're half-assing 90% of it.
And you're scrambling, and people can
Yeah.
start to see that. I don't know if you've noticed this, but you can start to see if people are genuinely posting genuinely from a place of non-stressful versus their wording starts to turn into, desperate in
Yeah.
some ways, right? They're like,
Yep.
you can tell if they're frantic and desperate and just trying to post stuff just to get noticed and da, da, da. Yeah, so it's very fascinating to watch the psychology of all this, which is the one class I skipped in college, which I still skip it every once in a while, but there is a psychology to all this. Our
Yeah.
little clickbaits, shall we call
Yeah,
them?
and I mean, marketing is psychology when you
Yeah.
get down to it. And that's why I think it's so interesting because you have to really truly understand the person you're trying to sell to, what their motivations are, what they care about. Like, not what you think, but what they actually have going on that they care about in order to convince them that you have the solution to that. And
Mhm.
that, I mean, so much of that is psychology and understanding and empathizing. And that is really at the root of all marketing, at least marketing that works.
Yeah, because I mean, how many times have I clicked on something because it was addressing a need in my life that I might not need that thing, but it gets you to click because, oh, I struggle or I think about that or I do this, I do that. And I'm just like, it's totally relatable.
Yeah.
And I find that the relatableness of these things that we click just
Yeah.
draws you right in. And, I want to go back a second too. Like, what in the world was little Heidi like way, way back in the day? What brought you into this journey here, running a summit, working with wedding pros? What in the world drew you to this environment? Like, I know my story, but I don't know your story on how you stumbled into all this.
Stumbled is the correct word. I feel like every journey, like it makes sense when you look backward on it, but when
Yeah.
you're in it, it's like, what are we doing? I have no idea. When I was in college, I got involved with a nonprofit and started helping them with fundraising events and got into event planning that way through the nonprofit route. Realized I loved doing it. I started working as an assistant planner, really enjoyed it. Then I moved to the UK and then I was like, okay, I kind of need to find anything. I found my first marketing job through a temp agency and I was like, I want to do this.
Oh
I,
my
this,
God.
this is what I want to do. I went to school for political science. My trajectory was law school, and I decided not to, largely because I was moving to another country, so it would have been useless.
Wow.
But I got into marketing. I worked in marketing in so many different industries. I was still doing some planning and I was still keeping the pulse on the industry. And around probably 2010, 2011, there was that shift in the industry where we saw a lot more people start to deviate from tradition. So like Offbeat Bride was really taking off at the time. Rock and Roll Bride was really taking off at the time. So I decided to start a wedding show that brought together the couples who wanted something different and the vendors who provided it.
Yeah.
And I found myself spending a lot of time helping those vendors, coaching those vendors on how they could get a better return on what they were doing. And that's when it just like smacked me in the face that not everyone just, like reads marketing books in their spare time and is just into this.
So yeah,
So
we
it
literally
allowed
stumble
me,
into it.
yeah, it allowed me to just like take two worlds I was involved
Yeah.
in and bring them together.
I think that's great though, because you already touched on two long-standing people I already know, Offbeat Bride and, Rock and Roll Bride. And there's a lot of really cool things in the UK in general that I find are lacking in the US as far as the alternative worlds. So, I got married in '05 and I was already off the own beaten path there. But I didn't have anybody like when those blogs started coming out, I was like, "Oh, I totally relate to these people." Like, I totally get not wanting to conform to every tradition on the list. So I find that a very fascinating story of how everything came together for you because it just started to make sense after a while. It's like, was it a self-realization or did you have people like saying, "You might think about this and putting them together." Did you have like a mixture of yourself and other people kind of like coaching you through it?
It was a self-realization because people kept asking me for
Yeah.
help. And I was like, it's one of those things when you're like good at something, you don't really think
Yeah.
much of it. And then you're like, oh, okay, I can help these people who absolutely should be making more money than they are. And I can help them do that. That sounds like fun. And that was like 12 years ago. So
Isn't
I've been
that
doing it ever
amazing?
since.
Not, I love hearing other people's stories of how they began because I think a lot of us, it was just like that. You're like, all of a sudden you realize you have a light bulb over your head of like, why don't I pursue this? And part of my story is I was gonna go into aerospace. Okay, I do nothing with aerospace except flying planes now. I mean, seriously. Like, nothing on my trajectory either was like, it doesn't look like what it looks now, and I think that's the beautiful thing about figuring out your path is
Yeah.
sometimes you take those jobs because you need them, and then all of a sudden you realize you're finding something about one thing that was awesome, and then this other thing that's awesome, and then, like, throwing it all together. I didn't even know I could do photography as a career, honestly. Like,
That's the thing. I think most of us are like, you go
I don't
into the
know.
adult world with such a limited, especially like pre-internet, like it was such a limited view of what you can do. And then you're like, wait a minute, people want to pay me for this. I can do this.
Mhm. And with our ever-changing world and people still, we're making decisions more digitally and online these days, and which kind of brings me to the big summit that you're putting together. Now, don't you do like 2 of these a year? It
I
was
do.
okay. So you do
Yeah.
2. So kind of explain to me like the 2 a year, what does that look like for you? And I don't they have like 2 different themes?
Yeah, so this one coming up is Book More Wedding Summit, where we're entirely focused on that attracting more leads, booking more weddings side of it. And that's typically the thing people come to me for. But then the other summit is to address inevitably what happens when we solve that problem, which is the how do I run this business? How do I get my time back? How do I build a team? How do I like play with my profitability? How do I do all these things as a CEO that I don't know how to do? So that is Wedding Business CEO Summit that we do usually in January or February every year.
Yeah, which I find that, for those of y'all that are not in the weddings and events industry, a lot of people, we do have some seasons in our industries. Some people work all year long. I don't. I have some very specific seasons in the summer when it is boiling hot. And if they are getting married, it's probably somewhere air conditioned.
You hope at least.
Yeah, and then in January and February, we have this, is it gonna ice or is it gonna not ice here in Texas, in North Texas? So it's like January and February is always like, that's when you see a lot of summits, you see a lot of education start coming out in all industries that I'm in, photography and wedding industry, things related. So you see like a very clear seasonal thing happen, which I think is great because a lot of people that do have that extra time on their downtime, we like to think that we're still moving forward with education and inspiration and creativity. So I feel like, your summit, at least the one coming up that I know I'm a part of, is going to have so much varieties of things that we're going to be able to access. I
Yeah.
haven't even read through all the list of all the topics yet. It's a lot.
There's a lot. Yeah, and what I really wanted to do with this is it's always related to booking more weddings, right? That's the
Yeah.
topic of the summit.
Yep.
But I really wanted to make sure we were addressing some of the issues that a lot of people are seeing right now, like slowdown in leads, elongation of decision making time,
Yeah.
you know, feeling like they're ghosting you. Maybe they are, maybe they're not, maybe they're just taking 8 months to make up their mind. Like, we don't know, but I've seen a lot of that. Like, people come back and they're like, oh, like I thought you were dead, but I guess sure, yeah, we could still work together. Um, all of that's happening right now, that shortage that a lot of people are seeing. I wanted to make sure we hit that from as many angles as possible to give people as many opportunities as possible to pick a solution that is going to fit for their business, that's going to work for them, because it is like a buffet. Like, the goal is not to get through, every
Every
single.
single class. Yeah.
Yeah, the goal is to, take what you need, take what you want, and then go take action on it.
Yeah, and I I really appreciate the variety too, because it's like, I'm a very specific niche kind of business, and not everything is going to work for me or where I'm at in my life. But as we've covered earlier, like there's people that are literally needing to make some big changes. They're wondering what's going on in the world right now. And I think as somebody who's, you seem to be always watching and listening to what people are needing. so you can address that in your summits, which I do appreciate because I mean, I only know so much. And then when I get around other people, which is what I have found in the wedding industry now, is that everybody's going through something similar and different at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's so much power in bringing people together. Like I said, I don't know everything either. So I am going to learn a ton from these presentations as well. And I love getting to do that and getting to bring people together who have different life experiences, different cultures, different, vendors that they have been or are or have worked with, different areas of expertise. And get these different actionable strategies and things that people can actually go do. It's super exciting to me. I love seeing people apply it.
Yeah, I love it too. And this is something you may not know about me either, but it's like I met a lot of these wedding pros on Clubhouse when
I
the
thought there
pandemic
seemed to be
hit.
a large group. Yeah,
There's a
I've been in that
large
room.
group of us that were on Clubhouse specifically. I believe it was the end of 2020 into 2021, and we were like talking nonstop about the industry. And this is really where I started to learn just how vast it is. I had always avoided it like the plague. I was like, I don't fit here. There's no point in me showing up. Especially the photography industry, I was like, wedding industry, meh. I started meeting these people, and it was really fascinating to listen to their stories, their insights, their wisdom. Even if I'd never worked with them, learning more about them started to really really just open something up in me, which was really cool. So now I have all these friends from Clubhouse that I never would have met had I not stepped into a room and just started talking to people. And I never would have met them at these industry events either because at the time, I was not going to anything related to the wedding industry. And so I'm so glad I did because now I've kind of again, stumbled into meeting all of you. And it's been super fun to get to know everybody in their own levels and see where they are and see what they're doing with their lives and then support them however they need to be supported. So it's been super fun to kind of play with that and just kind of get to know more people and just there's some really genuinely amazing people out there. And I just
Oh my God, tons.
so many. And I'm the kind of person these days now that I don't put anybody on a pedestal anymore. I'm just like, listen, this is another business owner to business owner, or this is another peer-to-peer moment where I could have a conversation and just be real with them about here's who I am, and then here's who you are. It's great. I love that. And so as we have things coming up for the summit, we don't have that much time till it goes live.
No.
Um, how necessarily does it work? What are the logistics of attending this summit? Because some people may have questions, and I even have questions because I'm totally in la la land over here getting some other projects done before I even think about the summit yet. So, how about some logistics? How do we get involved in it? I know there's
Yeah,
the
so
website, obviously, but
yeah. So when you go to Jen's link, grab your free ticket, you have the option of either sticking with the free ticket or grabbing one of the upgrades. And that's going to give you some different options. So the free ticket, the way that works is we release presentations each day. They're available for 24 hours. They don't happen at a specific time. They're just available to watch for
oh,
24
that's good to
hours.
know. See, I didn't even know that. That's perfect. I love that.
Yeah. And that way it's it helps with people's schedules, it helps with time
Hmm.
zones.
Hmm.
We have a lot of attendees in Australia and New Zealand, and it's like, okay, good. You still get the same 24 hours.
I was
Then
gonna
I
say,
know,
I'll be if chiming in from the UK at that time.
yeah. So we have everybody covered with that. And then at the end of those 24 hours, those presentations go away and they're only available in the upgrades, and the next day's presentations appear. Now, the upgrades, you have two different options with that. There's the all access pass, which is just access to the presentations and the transcripts to those forever and always. And then you have the VIP Power Pack, which is all the presentations and transcripts. We also have several VIP events happening during and after the summit for those people. And we have over $2,900 worth of speaker bonuses that you're getting just for picking up that Power Pack. So these are things like courses, templates, anything you can imagine from the speakers. And there are some really incredible bonuses in there.
And I was going to say, at that point, when you're getting that kind of package, you can access it at any time in
Mhm.
the longevity of your business, because what if you don't need something right then and there, but like 3 months later, you're like, I should probably revisit that class that I saw, and then pull up the worksheet or the templates or whatever else you need to implement it. I think that's
I
kind of a
do
really
that.
neat option.
I do that in my own business. I'm like,
Like,
yeah, I
yeah.
know this person talked about that. Let me go see what that was.
Yeah, and I think it's so beneficial, especially with, people that are out there running their businesses, and I know all the speakers are out there running their businesses, and they're in it. They're not just talking about it, they're in it. We're living it, right? I know I am. I'm living mine. And so I think that's great though, because that's kind of how I work. Like I'm a free flow, like, yeah, I can take a 6-month course. However, some of these self-paced courses are kind of nice too.
Yeah. I like the ability to like grab what you need. So if you know that, you want to, I don't know, work on your website over Christmas, you can come back to the presentations related to that and the bonuses related to that and dig into it then. Like it's not going anywhere. And you have ongoing access through a podcast feed as well, which makes it even easier to digest.
Ooh, that's nice. Again, like when I met everybody in Clubhouse and we were listening to each other and hearing each other speak about things, even if we didn't try, we were dropping things right and left that people could go in and do like right away. Like I was consistently in those rooms about PR and press and learning how to make myself available for that kind of thing. And then it's like little things you could do almost every other day to just nudge your business a little bit more forward. And that's what I really loved about all these things that we can pick up, knowing that if we only need to do 5, then we do those 5.
Yeah,
But
and I
even
think we discount the impact of like one action and
yeah,
one action, especially, when you've been in business for a while, one small thing can actually make a huge, huge difference.
yeah, one small thing. And I always thought about that as soon as I got around more wedding pros and business owners. I was just like, it really is. Sometimes it's just a small thing. Like even today, this phone call to me is another small thing that I know I could do for not only me, but for you and for everybody that's about to go to this summit and like really want to take it in. Because we only have like what is it, like a week and a half, 2 weeks now, that
Yeah,
we're gonna
about
be completely immersed into this, and people are gonna be sitting down and having their thinking hats on, and they're gonna have their pen and paper. They're gonna be ready to go.
yeah,
And
I
I
can't wait to dig in. I mean, it's going to
yeah.
be so much fun to see. I always love seeing what people's takeaways are. I always love when people bring their questions and their specific situations to the group and try to figure out like, okay, how would you, the speaker who just taught me about this, apply this to this situation? You can get, direct personalized feedback, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, I love that too, because it's almost like, you're having instant access to community anyway. It's like you might as well really get immersed into it. And there's something about having those immersive experiences, especially if you're laser focused on what you need to work on. Like every time I attend a convention of any kind, it could be the summit here, it could be a convention out here. I try to have at least 1 to 3 things that I know I need to work on. Like, not that I want to work on, but I need to work on, because, I mean, as much as I love marketing and we love marketing, how many of us know that we do need to work on our business side more, right? I mean, I love talking about marketing. I love connecting with people, but, have you updated your spreadsheet lately? Stuff like that. I'm sure everybody can relate to that.
There's always something, always. And I like that. If you go in basically looking for okay, I need a solution to this,
Yeah.
it's going to make it so much more focused.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we can just sit here and pause for a minute and think about, like, is there any additional advice that you would give somebody that's signing up for this summit, that's about to sit down for however many days, besides what I just suggested about having 1 to 3 things to work on? Is there any other advice and suggestions that you would have as they get signed up for this and start immersing into it?
Yeah, I would say as you're going through the presentations, I think the part that a lot of people miss when it comes to education is the implementation. So at the end of a presentation, I'd recommend, okay, what are the action steps? Document those. Like, these are the things that I want to do that I just learned, and then go put it on your calendar so that it can actually be real. And I don't care if you're not going to get to it till next year, but put it on your calendar so that it is an actual real thing and you don't just forget about it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna add to that. If there's something that you've been sitting on and then you hear it again and again and again, and I'm fairly sure if you show up to the summit, you're gonna hear something again that you have been putting off, I would put it in bold capital letters on your calendar as something that you need to intentionally focus on, because there's something about listening to your inner voice when you show up for these things and there's something that you've been wanting to do, you've been too shy to do it, you've been too scared to do it. I think this is the time. Just
Yeah,
get out there and do it. And
I
speaking
totally
of
agree.
time, as we are starting to round out our conversation, which has gone very quickly, um, I had Heidi come on today not knowing much about her, which is great. I love this because I love surprises and I love when people surprise me with our conversations and where we go. So I prefaced Heidi with a question. I asked if she had any tattoos, and she says no, but she's got this really interesting story as to why. So I want to hear why you don't have any tattoos. Now, but I also want to know if you had the ability to go get one, what would you think about getting?
That's the hard question. I feel like it changes. But yeah, I was considering it when I was in college. I went with a friend who was getting a piercing, and I was just talking to one of the tattoo artists. And I don't know if she brought it up or if I brought it up, but I have a pretty severe nickel allergy, to the point of like every pair of jeans I have has like multiple band-aids on the back
Oh my
of the bottom.
gosh.
And she was like, do not put ink in your body. I guess a lot of inks are nickel based, or at the time were. She's like, you were going to have the worst reaction. And it's not something like a piece of clothing you can take off. So I don't even know
Uh,
what happens in that situation, but can't be good. So I was like, okay, I guess I won't be doing that.
well, at least you know, like, how many people do things they don't know they're allergic to, and then all of a sudden, oops.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, I that would be the worst, to find out that way, something that
yeah,
is now in your skin that is causing you an allergic reaction. Oof.
yeah,
I'm sure it happens.
yeah, I'm sure it does, and that's why I wanted you to talk about it, because I love getting tattoos, but I never would have seen that from that perspective, because I've had people on the varieties of different perspectives of just having tattoos in general, but, like, that's a real thing, like, a real thing of thinking about allergies is something else, and I'm so
There's a
glad you
big
shared that.
chunk of the population that are
Yeah.
allergic to nickel. I think it's gotten better. I think ink technology has gotten better, and they're relying less on that, because there is a significant chunk of people who are allergic to it. And if that's the way you're manufacturing it, like, you're kind of setting yourself up for.
Yeah, and I've heard other stories. It's so fascinating. I have no knowledge of what is an ink, but I know I have it on my body. For the last, my first tattoo was 94. So 1994. So, and obviously I seem to be all right, you know.
Yeah.
So the second question was, is if you had the chance to get a tattoo of any kind, or even something like I had a guest on that had henna once before, would there be something that you're interested in having artistically on your body?
I think, and I follow several tattoo artists. I think more than a subject, I'm drawn to styles.
Mm.
And then I would probably like choose a subject that looks good in that style. But you see someone's style and it's like, oh my God, like that is so gorgeous. Like, yeah, it's a piece of art. And then I would probably choose something that I like that aligns better with it as opposed to going in with something and trying to like shoehorn it into a particular style. But I probably want something with a specific style
Mm.
that
Is
would probably fade pretty quickly, but
I was gonna
that's
say, is there a
okay.
specific thing? Are we talking like unicorns, flowers, corn husks? I mean,
Corn husks.
I'm just free flowing riffing off the top of my head.
I'm sold. No, I might go for, I mean, there's the pop culture angle. I could go that way.
Yeah.
Something I love, or I could probably go like the animal direction
Mhm.
too. Like, I love me a raccoon. I love me a red panda. So,
That's so cute. Well, I can't say much. My first one was a spider, so I was like, I just for some reason I was an artist at the time drawing spider webs. I do not like spiders, okay? I will squish them. But my first tattoo was a spider. Go figure.
that's so funny.
I mean, they're interesting. I just don't want
They
them on
are.
me. Like literally, like I don't want the real thing on me. The tattoo I'm cool
Right.
with. I can look at it all day long and he's cute. But
Yeah.
if he's in
Because
my
he doesn't
house,
move.
there's a video meme of this guy who made a video in a spider costume of when you're staring at a spider on the wall and it's looking back at you, and then you throw your shoe at it and you missed it completely, and then a spider is still looking at you. And I was like, because I've done this where I've tried to kill a spider and I thought I hit it and I didn't, and then I feel like it just comes after me.
It's like, oh, now this is war, lady.
Now it's worse. But anyway, there was a cute video about that. I really loved that. That felt real in that moment. I was like,
Yeah.
how many times have I tried to hit a bug and I miss it and it runs away and I can't find it? Oh my gosh. Well, as we're starting to round up today, I am so glad that you could come on today. I know there's a lot going on. We're preparing for the summit. I have a talk prepared for it. I'm super excited to share part of my story with the Wedding Pro crowd. Y'all are going to learn so much from this summit, and I know I'm one of many amazing speakers that are going to be there. But is there anything else that we want to leave people with today in regards to, their education and their inspiration, and especially the summit coming up, and the other one in the next season too? Anything else we want to leave with them today?
Yeah, I would say make sure you get your free ticket, grab it through Jen's link. It's happening August 19th through the 23rd, but if you grab one of the upgrades, those dates are pretty irrelevant to you. You can watch the presentations whenever you like. But I would go into it with an action taking mindset. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not here to learn, I'm here to learn and then go do the thing. And we're doing a session on Friday about that exact thing, like making a plan for going and making sure that whether it's a financial return on investment, a time return on investment, that you are getting a solid return on investment from what you learned during the summit. Because I too love learning for the sake of learning, but
Uh-huh.
if you don't apply it, you don't get the results. And I want you to get the results.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that's a really great way to just let people know, get in there, get it done. Yeah, endless learning and not applying, you're kind of missing out on the whole pieces of life that you could have access to, is like literally making your dreams come true, making things happen, doing the things that you've been called to do all along. So I just encourage you to take everything that we talked about on this talk today and get ready for the summit and summits ahead, because this can be forward thinking to all the summits from Heidi in the future, because we all have the same ideas and mindsets of just set yourself up for success and then go have fun and also apply it. So thank you for coming in, Heidi.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
All right. All right. I will see y'all on the next episode.